What's up, guys? I wanted to share and break down a fun hand. I just did a play and explain, but had a really fun hand that I played here a day or two ago that I saved, and I kind of wanted to explain the in-depth thought process around that, what that looks like. I have 10 games going at a time normally, so you have to process through this stuff really quickly, but I think talking through a hand can really help people see the way that I approach the game. I think about the game, and this is versus a very good reg. He plays 100 NL and 200 NL quite often. He's a very thinking player and very good, and so you have to take a different level against a guy like that. Also, baby, shout out to the G.I. Joe shirt. Just got that from my sister. But let's jump into the hand. It's at 25 NL, 2550 NL, and I am dealt aces on the button right here. No brainer here. This won't come as a surprise. When it's folded to you on the button, you're always going to play aces. So I standard open to a little over 2x. That's what I open everything to. I'm going to open all the way down to, Jack 5 suited, King 2 suited, every ace, so, going to be opening a wide variety of hands on the button. This is obviously the best one you can. And here's our villain. His name's Lou Hefner. Very good player, thinking player, very aggressive also. This guy 3-bets a ton, check raises a ton, and just plays back a ton. Super aggressive. He was also losing quite a bit this session. I'd stacked him a couple times already this session, and I kind of felt like he was just off his game a little bit today. You start to pick up on that as you play with guys day in and day out. So flop comes King 9-8, and I decided to check back. And I do this for a couple of reasons. I want to make it a very low frequency play. Obviously the standard play here is bet aces. You have an overpair, you can get value from so much. Every King X is going to call, every 9X is going to call, a lot of 8X, a lot of gut shots, a lot of hands can call here. So standard play is to bet. But against regs, and especially guys that I play a ton against, I've been playing a ton this month, putting in probably the most volume since I moved to Vegas about 4 years ago. I haven't had any clients this month, and I've been taking it 6 or 7 weeks pretty easy. So I'm putting a lot of that extra time into poker and really enjoying battling some of these regs and playing again. But anyway, I go ahead and check back, maybe a 15 to 20% play here. But I do this for a couple of reasons. One, I need to protect some of the garbage hands that I'm going to check back. I don't want him to think that every time I check back, now he can just blast and I have to fold. You don't want to get into a pattern of just, well, I bet when I have big hands and I check when I don't. Sometimes you need to mix that in, and you need to have some very strong hands. So some very strong hands here to me are aces. King X will check back for me sometimes, especially weak King X, like a King 6, King 4, some hands like that. And then it just becomes a very easy game of if he blast, you just got an easy call with top pair, catch all his bluffs and things like that. And so that's the reason I check back. You need to do that against better players. Now, I want to pause here for a second and say, if you've watched any of my play and explains or any of the videos I put out before, a lot of times playing these stakes, especially 50 NL where I record a lot, the player pool is just not good. You're going to have several guys who are just only playing their hands. I call those level 1 players. And so if they're just playing their hand, I will never check this back. 100% of the time against a bad player, I'm just going to bet, and I'm just going to get value, and I'm beating a massive, almost every hand he's going to call with. Of course, he can have, King 9, King 8, 8, 9. Of course, there's some hands that beat you, but you're crushing his overall range. So you're just going to always bet against fish. There's no reason to do anything tricky. But again, this guy's a very good player, so I check back. The turn comes the Queen of Hearts, and he checks again. Now it's just time to get value. Again, I lose to some hands. He'll call every Queen 9, Queen 8, King 9. He can still have some traps. Don't expect him to do that very often, to be honest. He can have Jack 10 for sure. And he's good enough where he'll check those made hands to me sometimes as well. But I expect him to bet more than that, as he's just pretty aggro and likes to fire when he has it, fire when he doesn't. But he does check again. Now, I kind of have no choice. I have a great hand. There's time to put money in the pot. So I go ahead and bet about 2/3 pot. He snap check raised me to a little bit over pot here. There's a no-brainer here. It's just a call. My hand is still way good. He can have King Jack. You can have Queen Jack. You can have 9, 10 of hearts, 8, 10 of hearts. A lot of hands like this that want to check raise. I have the Ace of Hearts too, and that'll come into play here shortly. But there's just no other play here except a call. I know some people just fall in love with aces. I got ace. I'm just putting all the money in. If you really look at the board now, you're in really rough shape against some of the hands with that queen that do decide to check raise here. So against a good thinking player, there's nothing to do but call here. And let's go ahead and take a river. River, we've got 15 in the pot now-ish, and he bets third pot. It comes 10 of hearts. So now we're a one-liner to a straight. 8, 9, 10. Any jack makes a straight. When he takes this third size, he is good enough here to have like a 6, 7 of hearts, to be honest, and bet this size. He is good enough to have a jack X and go this size. He can still have some complete air, in my opinion. Maybe not complete air, but I don't know what he blocks with outside of having a jack or a really tiny flush, like 6, 7 specifically, maybe 5, 7 of hearts. But when he puts this size in and I have the ace of hearts, I can't call here. To be honest, with this 10 of hearts river and the one-liner to the straight, if he's betting, he's not going to bet a king anymore. He's not going to bet king 7 for value. He's going to check. Or he's going to go bigger as a bluff and turn his hand into a bluff and try and get me to believe that, if he had maybe king 7 of hearts or something like that, the 7 of hearts, maybe he turns that into a bluff. I don't think so. To be honest, I think when he chooses this size, he mostly is just blocking and just has a jack. A lot, maybe even a set. Maybe he flops a set of 8s, something like that. But when I have the ace of hearts, and I think this is an important takeaway against a good thinking player, again, I'll never make this play against a fish because if he just has a jack, he just calls. But as you can see, we're deep. We're over 100 big blinds deep. And this is where, your bankroll has to come into play here. I don't even know how much I'm up or down at any given time. I don't really care. I just play and try and make the best decisions I can and tend to always make money after that. I think this is the 38th month now I've played in Vegas. This is the 38th month I'm going to win. Again, playing very low stakes games, but that's part of the reason. And so what I do is I go ahead and pop it up and way over pot here. So I'm going to make this play with the nut flush and with the nut flush blocker, and that's pretty much it. I can go ahead and do this if I do think that he'll never bet a flush this size. Let's say he just always blocks with his jack this size or the set, and I have a jack and I think it's a chop. I can go ahead and do that. And there are players in these stakes of games that really give away with their tells. Man, they bet third pot or half pot when they're have a mediocre hand, and it's pot when they have, the nuts, when they have the ace high flush, when they have any kind of flush here on this board, it's always pot. And so you can really exploit those guys and break apart their patterns and learn, hey, if they are only half potting here or less, and they go ahead and half pot or less here, I don't even need to have the ace of hearts against some of those guys because I know if they did, they would be potting. But this guy, again, is a very good and thinking player. And so I need to know that he's capable of also folding a jack here. He is, and that's why I go ahead and make it 43, which is, 2x pot by the time he puts it in, little over 2x pot. But anyway, that's kind of the thought process I have as I go through some hands with some bigger thinking type players. Big takeaway, I believe, is you need to be rolled in any game you're playing to just be able to blast off sometimes and just know I don't have the best hand here, but I'm going to over 2x pot because I believe that's the best play to get this guy to fold. And if you're going to put yourself in these games or whatever games you're going to play, 5 cent, 10 cent, whatever it is, $1, $2 at the casino, $5, $10, whatever that is. When I used to play much bigger stakes and, I had a $15,000 stop loss back then playing 10, 20 no limit live and things like that. I had to bet 6 and 7,000 like this in spots many times where I knew I didn't have the best hand. I knew there's a good chance he could make a call, but I believed it was the right play to try and win the pot at that time. And it was going to be a high ROI play to do it. So that's my thought process is you need to be rolled in any game you're playing, unafraid to take chances and look for these spots and think about what he's thinking, that you're thinking, and you sort of have a little leveling battle in these games. But that's how I approach it. So I hope you guys enjoy the play and explain. I hope you guys enjoy a hand breakdown. If you want more hand breakdowns or anything like that in the channel, fire it in the comments, man. I really loving and digging this YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys being here, closing on 9,000 subs. Just look to grow it in the future, man. It's awesome to be able to share the journey, life, what I'm learning, some poker, everything with you guys. So have the best day of your life, baby. Let's go get it.